In 2016, when futuristic shooters were at their peak, a single trailer arrived and turned everything on its head. Battlefield 1 was the most successful game in the entire franchise, and while it owes much of that success to the trailer, there's actually a great success story behind it. It all began on May 2nd, 2016, when Battlefield's biggest rival, Call of Duty, released its Infinite Warfare trailer. That trailer went on to become one of the most disliked videos on YouTube, and gamers were sending a clear message. They were tired of futuristic shooter games. While the trailer of its biggest competitor failed, EA and DICE made one of the biggest correct marketing moves that could be made at that time, and shared the Battlefield 1 trailer with the players. After the release of the trailer, DICE had the perfect hype, with the unhappy and unsatisfied Call of Duty audience behind it. And the internet was buzzing with this amazing trailer that DICE made. Media posts, reaction videos, a growing fan base, everyone was waiting for Battlefield 1 to be released in 2016. As the days passed, buzz around Battlefield 1 only intensified. Discussions erupted about how a World War I setting could offer both authenticity and novelty. People speculated on the potential for large-scale battles, the role of cavalry, and the feasibility of capturing the brutal nature of an early 20th century conflict in a big-budget video game. Pre-orders surged, and the community began dissecting every frame of that trailer. The instantly recognizable Mark V tank, the warplanes dueling in the sky, even the design of the soldiers' uniforms. It was as if the audience had collectively decided, yes, this is something we want to play. A few months later, the game launched, and that's when people discovered how the promise of the trailer carried into the final product. In the single-player campaign, Battlefield 1 deviated from standard wargame narratives by presenting multiple short stories set on different fronts. Instead of glorifying a single hero, it shifted perspectives across various soldiers, some of whom might not survive more than a few intense minutes on the battlefield. This approach reflected the harrowing and unpredictable feel of that initial trailer. Ordinary characters thrust into extraordinary violence underscored a key theme. There is no neat division of good or evil in World War I. It was a global conflict that consumed entire nations, and Battlefield 1 strived to portray that reality in a balanced human way. Each war story offered a snapshot of conflict in places like the Italian Alps, the Arabian Desert, or the muddy trenches of the Western Front. You'd find yourself guiding a young mechanic scrambling to keep a lumbering tank operational, or an Italian volunteer soldier pushing through treacherous mountain peaks. These narratives were short, brutal, and reflective of the massive scale the trailer had hinted at. Rather than painting one side as strictly heroic, the game delivered a sobering glimpse into the vulnerability and desperation that defined so many battles in that era. Meanwhile, the multiplayer side of Battlefield 1 lived up to the chaotic montage glimpsed in the trailer. Large-scale battles welcomed up to 64 players, complete with dynamic weather that could turn a clear day into a blinding sandstorm. One match might involve sprinting on horseback, saber in hand, while another sees you strafing enemy lines in a vintage biplane. This variety ensured that every round had moments of pure cinematic grandeur. Tanks crashing through walls, entire buildings collapsing under heavy bombardment, and squads scrambling for footholds in the midst of bombardment. Yes, there was an inevitable sense of repetition in capturing objectives, common in many shooters, but the constant unpredictability was enough to keep matches feeling fresh. Crucially, Battlefield 1 did more than just push players into frantic firefights. It offered an experience that hinted at the real horror and scale of the First World War. The trailer's relentless pace and dramatic editing set expectations for a visceral, large-scale depiction of the conflict, and for many, that's exactly what the game delivered. Over time, expansions and updates introduced more fronts and weapons, broadening that sense of a truly worldwide war, far beyond the grim familiarity of European trenches. In a market where players were accustomed to laser sights and exosuits, Battlefield 1 managed to showcase how older wars could still feel explosive, innovative, and most importantly, relevant. That message began with the trailer, a short, meticulously edited piece of footage that signaled an escape from the near-future cliches and World War II mainstays. By plunging headfirst into an era plagued by trench stalemates and chemical weapons, DICE reminded everyone that there were still untold stories left in history's vault. Ultimately, the Battlefield 1 trailer stands as a testament to how a well-timed, cleverly orchestrated reveal can shape the public's perception of a game and even nudge an entire genre in a new direction. It was a masterclass in marketing, yes, but more importantly, it was a promise that gamers were about to experience an older kind of warfare brought to life, with all the intensity and cinematic flair modern technology could muster. Judging by the fervent response from both critics and fans, that promise was largely fulfilled. And in the end, that's what made Battlefield 1's reveal so remarkable. It shined a spotlight on a conflict seldom explored in AAA shooters, and it did so with a style that felt both fresh and deeply haunting. The moment those horses charged into the fray on screen, backed by a pounding, modernized soundtrack, gamers knew this was more than a historical footnote. It was a new chapter in the evolution of the first-person shooter.